Commander Sarah Chen stood at the large window of Kepler Station, watching the alien ships move slowly through space. The station hung in the darkness between stars, far from Earth. It was humanity's most distant outpost, built to meet with the Viotharan people for the first time. Sarah was nervous. This meeting would decide if humans and Viotharans could trade with each other. The Viotharans were an old race with hard, crystal-like skin. They looked down on younger species like humans, but they had noticed Earth's fast growth in technology. This made them interested enough to meet. Behind Sarah, her team worked hard to prepare for the talks. Dr. Emily Harrison checked her notes about Viotharan culture. She was the team's expert on alien life. Translator James Park practiced the difficult Viotharan language. His job was to make sure nothing got lost in translation. Security Chief Martinez walked around the station checking the defenses. He had 4 Marines with him. Not many, but this was supposed to be a peaceful meeting. The station had basic shields and some weapons, but it was built for talking, not fighting. "Commander," Dr. Harrison called out, "the Veltharan ship is sending a message. They want to start the meeting in 1 hour." Sarah nodded. "Good. Are we ready?" "As ready as we can be," Harrison replied. "Remember, they value honor and strength. They see emotion as weakness. Stay calm no matter what they say." The Veltharan ship was huge, much bigger than any human vessel. It looked like a giant crystal floating in space, with sharp edges and bright lights. Sarah had seen pictures, but the real thing was impressive and scary. An hour later, the Veltharan delegation came aboard. Their leader was tall and thin, with blue crystal skin that caught the light. His name was something Sarah could not say properly, so she called him Ambassador Keth. Behind him came 5 other Veltharans, all looking cold and proud. "Humans," Ambassador Keth said in perfect English. His voice sounded like breaking glass. "We come to see if your species deserves our attention." Sarah kept her face calm. "We welcome you to Kepler Station. We hope this meeting helps both our peoples." The talks began slowly. The Veltharans wanted to trade their advanced energy weapons for Earth's computer technology. They were surprised by how fast human computers worked. Sarah tried to be fair while getting the best deal for Earth. For 3 hours, they talked about trade routes, prices, and rules. The Veltharans seemed interested but careful. They asked many questions about human military strength. Sarah answered honestly but did not give away secrets. Then everything went wrong. Alarms started screaming throughout the station. Red lights flashed everywhere. Martinez's voice came over the speaker system. "All hands to emergency positions. Unknown ships approaching fast." Through the window, Sarah saw them coming. Dozens of Veltharan warships, but these were different. They were dark red and covered in spikes. Their weapons were already charging with deadly light. Ambassador Keth looked shocked. "Impossible! These are purest clade ships. They should not be here." "What is the purest clade?" Sarah demanded. "Extremists. They hate all younger races. They think contact with humans will make us weak." Keth's crystal skin turned pale blue. "They want to kill you all." The first enemy shots hit the station's shields. The whole building shook. Sarah grabbed the wall to stay standing. "Martinez, report! 12 enemy ships, Commander. They're demanding we surrender the humans for execution." Sarah's blood turned cold. "All human personnel to the command center. Move now!" The team ran through shaking corridors as more weapons fire hit the station. Dr. Harrison carried her research data. Translator Park helped one of the wounded Marines who had been hurt by falling debris. The Veltharan delegates followed, but they looked scared. "Why are they attacking their own station?" Sarah asked Ambassador Keth as they reached the command center. "This is not our station anymore," Keth replied sadly. "The purest clade has taken control of this sector. They planned this trap." The command center was the strongest part of the station. It had thick walls and its own power supply. Martinez sealed the heavy doors behind them. "This is the safest place on the station, Commander. We can hold here for a while." Sarah looked around. 12 humans and 6 Veltharans were trapped in a room not much bigger than a house. Outside, enemy ships surrounded them completely. She sat at the communication station and tried to call Earth. Static filled her headset. The enemy was blocking most signals. Finally, she found one weak channel that might reach home. "Emergency transmission to Earth Command," she said quickly. "This is Commander Chen at Kepler Station. We are under attack by Veltharan extremists called the Purist Clade. Request immediate assistance. Repeat, Kepler Station is under attack. We are trapped and surrounded." The signal cut off as enemy weapons destroyed the main communication array. Sarah stared at the dead screen. Earth was 47 light-years away. Even if her message got through, help would take weeks to arrive. Martinez checked his weapons and ammunition. "We have enough supplies for maybe a week, if we're careful. 4 combat-ready Marines plus myself. The station's defenses won't hold long against those ships." "What do the Purists want?" Sarah asked Keth. The alien ambassador looked ashamed. "They want to execute you publicly, to show all Valtharans that humans are weak. They think this will stop our people from making deals with younger races." Through the thick windows, Sarah could see the enemy ships getting closer. Their weapons glowed like angry red eyes. More ships kept arriving. The Purist Clade was bringing their entire fleet. Dr. Harrison was studying the enemy communication signals. "Commander, I'm picking up their battle plans. They're not just going to kill us quickly. They want to broadcast our deaths across Veltharan space as propaganda." Sarah felt anger rising in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. "How long before they break through?" Martinez checked his instruments. "They're cutting through the outer hull now, maybe 6 hours before they reach this section." Sarah looked at her team. These people had volunteered for a dangerous mission far from home. They trusted her to keep them safe. Now they were trapped with nowhere to run. "Listen, everyone," she said. "Earth knows we're in trouble. They will come for us. Our job is to stay alive until help arrives. We've survived worse situations than this." But as enemy weapons continued to pound the station and more Purist Clade ships arrived, Sarah wondered if anyone would be left alive when Earth finally came looking for them. 3 days passed like a nightmare. The Purist Clade ships hammered the station without stopping. Each blast made the walls shake and the lights flicker. Sarah and her team lived in the command center, taking turns sleeping on the floor while others watched for attacks. The enemy had brought massive war machines that slowly cut through the station's metal walls. Sarah could hear them getting closer every hour. The sound was like giant claws scraping against steel. Sometimes pieces of the ceiling fell down, covering everything in dust and sparks. Martinez limped around the room, checking their defenses. His left leg was hurt from when an explosion threw him against the wall yesterday. "Ammunition count is getting low, Commander. We started with enough bullets for a small fight, not a 3-day war." Sarah nodded grimly. They had used most of their weapons trying to stop the enemy from breaking in. The Marines had blocked 3 different attempts to enter the command center. Each time, the Purists came back with bigger guns and more soldiers. Dr. Harrison worked at her computer, listening to enemy communications. Her face was pale and worried. "Commander, you need to hear this. The Purists aren't just planning to kill us anymore. They want to make it into a show." "What do you mean?" "They're setting up cameras and communication equipment. Warcast Zethkalar, their leader, wants to broadcast our execution live across all Valtharan worlds. He thinks watching humans die will prove we're weak and unworthy." Sarah felt sick. The idea of her team being killed on camera for alien entertainment made her angry. "How much time do we have?" Martinez checked his instruments. "They'll break through the last barrier in maybe 4 hours. After that..." He didn't need to finish the sentence. Translator Park sat in the corner, holding a small device. "I've been recording messages for our families just in case. Do you want to record something, Commander?" Sarah thought about her daughter back on Earth. Little Emma was only 8 years old. What could Sarah say that would help her understand why Mommy wasn't coming home? "Not yet," Sarah said. "We're not dead yet." But she wasn't sure how much longer they could hold out. The air in the command center was getting bad because the life support systems were damaged. They had enough food for maybe 2 more days. The water recycler was making strange noises. Ambassador Keth and his Veiltheran companions sat quietly near the back wall. They looked ashamed. "This is our fault," Keth said sadly. "We should have known the purists would try something like this. We have brought disaster to your people." "Don't blame yourself," Sarah replied. "Evil people make their own choices." Outside the thick windows, she could see more purist ships arriving. Their fleet now had over 20 vessels surrounding the station. Red and black ships with sharp edges and glowing weapons. They looked like metal sharks swimming through space. Dr. Harrison suddenly looked up from her computer screen. "Commander, I think I understand something important. The purists aren't just trying to kill us. They're studying how we fight." "What do you mean?" "They keep changing their attack patterns based on what we do. When Martinez used the corridor defense guns, they brought armor. When we blocked the maintenance tunnels, they found new ways in. They're learning our tactics so they can fight other humans later." Sarah felt a chill. This attack wasn't just about killing one small team. The purists were treating it like a training exercise for war against all of humanity. A new sound came from the walls around them. It was different from the steady cutting noise they had heard for days. This was sharper, more focused. Sparks began to fly from the main door. "They're using plasma cutters now," Martinez said. He picked up his rifle and checked the power cell. "Much faster than their other tools, maybe 30 minutes before they break through." Sarah made a decision. She sat at the communication station and tried once more to reach Earth. Most of the station's communication equipment was destroyed, but there was one weak emergency transmitter left. "Earth Command, this is Commander Chen. If anyone can hear this message, we are running out of time. The purist clade has overwhelming force. They plan to execute us as propaganda. Tell my daughter I love her. Tell all the families we tried our best." She paused, looking at her brave team. Dr. Harrison was still working, trying to learn everything she could about the enemy. Translator Park helped the wounded Marines prepare their last weapons. Martinez stood by the door, ready to fight until the end. "Also tell Earth Command that these aliens are more dangerous than we thought. They're not just extremists. They're preparing for a larger war. Humanity needs to be ready." The signal cut off as more equipment failed. Sarah didn't know if the message had reached Earth or just disappeared into empty space. The plasma cutting was almost finished. She could see bright light coming through cracks in the door. Soon the enemy would pour in with their crystal armor and energy weapons. 12 humans against hundreds of alien warriors. Martinez gathered his men. "Listen up, Marines. We knew this was a dangerous mission when we volunteered. Now we show these aliens what humans are made of. We don't give up. We don't surrender. We fight." The other Marines nodded. Even wounded, they checked their weapons one last time. Sarah felt proud of them, even knowing they would probably all die in the next few minutes. Dr. Harrison's computer suddenly made a beeping sound. She looked at the screen with surprise. "Commander, I'm picking up something strange. There are new energy readings coming from outside the station." "What kind of readings?" "I'm not sure. It's not like anything the purists have been using. The energy signature is different, almost like—" The plasma cutting stopped. For the first time in 3 days, the station was quiet. Sarah could hear her own heartbeat. Then all the purist communication channels started screaming at once, angry, frightened voices in the harsh Veiltheran language. Translator Park listened carefully and turned pale. What are they saying? Sarah asked. They're reporting new contacts. Unknown ships just appeared at the edge of the system. Fast ships. The purists are calling for battle formations. Sarah felt a tiny spark of hope. Could it be possible? Had Earth somehow received her distress call and sent help? Through the window, she saw the purist ships suddenly changing direction. Instead of pointing their weapons at the station, they were turning to face something else, something that had made them afraid. In the distance, 3 small lights appeared against the stars. They were moving fast, faster than any ship Sarah had ever seen. As they got closer, she could see they were not Valtheran designs. They looked human. 23 hours earlier, Earth Command received Commander Chen's desperate message. The signal was weak and broken, but the words were clear enough. Humans were trapped and under attack 47 light-years away. Admiral Kate Morrison sat in her chair at Earth Defense Headquarters, reading the message for the 3rd time. Her jaw was tight with anger. Someone had attacked her people. That was not acceptable. "How long would it take our fastest ships to reach Kepler Station?" she asked her aide. "Using standard jump drives, about 6 weeks, Admiral, even pushing the engines to maximum." Admiral Morrison shook her head. "Too long. They'll be dead by then." She thought for a moment, then made a decision that would change everything. "Get me Captain James Morrison of Task Force Prometheus. Tell him to prepare for immediate deployment." Captain Morrison was Admiral Morrison's son, though no one mentioned the family connection at work. He commanded humanity's newest and most secret military unit. Task Force Prometheus had 3 ships that used technology the rest of the galaxy didn't know existed. The captain arrived at headquarters 30 minutes later. He was tall like his mother, with the same determined look in his eyes. "You called for me, Admiral?" "James, how quickly can your task force reach the Kepler system?" Captain Morrison looked surprised. "Using the quantum tunnel drives? 4 hours, maybe 5, including preparation time. But, Admiral, those drives are still experimental. We've only tested them in our own solar system. 12 humans are going to die if we don't try. How confident are you in the technology?" The captain thought carefully. The quantum tunnel drives were humanity's greatest secret. They worked by creating holes in space itself, allowing ships to travel instantly across vast distances. The theory was solid, but using them so far from Earth was risky. 90% confident, Admiral. The biggest risk is that we might not come out exactly where we want to. We could end up a few hours away from the target." "Good enough. Take your task force and bring our people home." 1 hour later, Task Force Prometheus prepared to leave Earth. The 3 ships were beautiful and deadly. The UES Retribution was a heavy battleship with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. The UES Shadow's Edge was built for stealth, able to appear and disappear like a ghost. The UES Valkyrie's Descent carried the 42nd Orbital Drop Regiment, humanity's best soldiers. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching Earth grow smaller behind them. Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka worked at the navigation station, programming the quantum tunnel drives. "Sir, we have intelligence reports on the enemy," reported Communications Officer Chen. "The Purist Clade is a military faction within the Valtheran Confederacy. They have 12 heavy cruisers and many smaller ships. Their weapons are energy-based and they prefer direct attacks." Captain Morrison studied the enemy fleet composition. "What about their tactics?" "Very traditional, sir. They form battle lines and attack straightforward. Their society values honor and following orders more than creative thinking. They've never fought humans before." "That's their mistake," Morrison said quietly. "Tanaka, are we ready for quantum tunnel deployment?" "Yes, sir. All ships report ready. Tunnel drives are charged and targeted for the Kepler system." "Open a channel to the fleet," Morrison ordered. "All ships, this is Captain Morrison. In 5 minutes, we will make the longest quantum tunnel jump in human history. Our people are counting on us. When we arrive, we hit fast and hard. The enemy won't know what happened until it's over." The three ships activated their tunnel drives together. Space around them seemed to twist and bend. Stars stretched into long lines of light. For a moment that felt like forever. They existed nowhere and everywhere at the same time. Then they were back in normal space, 47 light-years from Earth. The journey had taken less than 10 minutes. "All ships report successful jump," Tanaka announced. "We are 3 million kilometers from Kepler Station. Sensors are detecting the enemy fleet." On the main screen, Captain Morrison could see the Valtharan ships surrounding the human station. They were arranged in a perfect circle, all weapons pointed inward. Classic siege formation. No imagination at all. "Shadow's Edge, begin stealth approach. Target their sensor stations first. Valkyrie's descent, prepare the drop troops for immediate deployment. Retribution will engage the enemy fleet directly." Major Rebecca Santos commanded the soldiers on the Valkyrie's descent. Her troops called her Reaper because she never left anyone behind. She had fought in the Mars Rebellion and the Europa defense. Now she was preparing for the most important mission of her career. "Listen up, Angels," she told her regiment over the communication system. 12 humans are trapped on that station. The enemy thinks they're going to execute our people on live television. We're going to show them what happens when you threaten humanity." The soldiers of the 42nd were the best Earth had ever produced. They wore powered armor that made them stronger and faster than any normal human. Their weapons could adapt to any situation. Most important, they had trained together until they thought and moved like one deadly organism. "Drop pods ready, Major," reported Sergeant Kim. "We can deploy directly onto the station or the enemy ships." "Both," Major Santos decided. "First squad takes the station to secure our people. Second and third squads board enemy vessels and cause chaos. We're going to hit them from every direction at once." Captain Morrison watched the enemy fleet through his tactical display. They were moving slowly, like they had all the time in the world. They had no idea death was coming for them. "Sir, Shadow's Edge reports successful infiltration," Tanaka announced. "They've destroyed 6 enemy sensor stations without being detected." "Excellent. Signal all ships. Operation Guardian Angel is go." The UES Retribution dropped out of stealth first. Its massive railguns fired from maximum range, sending metal projectiles at incredible speed toward the enemy fleet. The Valtharan ships had energy shields, but they were designed to stop energy weapons. Not solid metal traveling at a significant fraction of light speed. The first railgun shot punched through a Valtharan cruiser's shield like it was made of paper. The ship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the darkness. The second shot destroyed another ship before the enemy even realized they were under attack. Chaos spread through the Purist fleet. Warcast Zethkalar, their leader, screamed orders from his command ship. "All vessels, battle formation! Where did they come from? How did they get here so fast?" His second-in-command looked terrified. "Warcast, these are human ships, but humans cannot travel faster than light. Their technology is centuries behind ours." Zethkalar stared at the tactical display as more of his ships exploded. The human vessels moved like nothing he had ever seen, appearing and disappearing, striking from impossible angles. His rigid battle formations meant nothing against enemies who refused to follow traditional tactics. "Impossible," he whispered. "No young race should have such power." But the worst was yet to come. The UES Valkyrie's descent launched its drop pods directly at the station and the surrounding enemy ships. Hundreds of metal capsules streaked through space like falling stars, each one carrying death to the purest clade. Major Santos's voice echoed across all human frequencies. "Hell's Angels, this is Reaper. Time to go to work." The UES Shadow's Edge moved through space like a deadly whisper. Captain Linda Torres watched her stealth ship slice between the Valtharan vessels undetected. Her crew had spent years perfecting the art of invisible warfare. "Target their command ship's communication array," Torres ordered quietly. "If they can't talk to each other, they can't coordinate their defense." The Shadow's Edge fired experimental plasma torpedoes that burned through Veltharan armor like acid through paper. The enemy flagship's communication tower exploded in silence, cutting Warcast Zethkalar off from half his fleet. At the same time, the UES Retribution continued its devastating long-range bombardment. Captain Morrison watched the tactical display as his railguns tore through enemy ships one by one. The Veltharans were trying to form battle lines, but human ships kept appearing from impossible directions. "Sir, the enemy is attempting to retreat," reported Lieutenant Commander Tanaka. "No," Morrison said firmly. "They attacked our people. They don't get to run away. All ships close formation. Don't let any of them escape." The real terror began when Major Santos and her Hell's Angels reached their targets. The drop pods crashed into Kepler Station and the surrounding enemy ships with tremendous force. Each pod opened like a metal flower, releasing humanity's most dangerous predators. Major Santos landed directly on the station's outer hull. Her powered armor absorbed the impact easily. Around her, 24 soldiers took positions and began cutting through the metal walls with plasma torches. They could hear the fighting inside. Their trapped comrades were still alive. "First squad with me," Santos commanded. "Secure our people. Second squad, take the engine section. Third squad, eliminate all hostiles. No prisoners unless they surrender." The Hell's Angels moved through the station like a force of nature. Their powered armor made them faster and stronger than any Veltharan warrior. Their weapons adapted to each situation automatically. When they encountered energy shields, the guns switched to projectile mode. When enemies hid behind cover, the weapons fired explosive rounds. Sergeant Martinez and his Marines heard the sound of human weapons getting closer. The distinctive whine of plasma rifles and the thunder of powered armor footsteps echoed through the corridors. "Commander," Martinez called out, "I think our cavalry has arrived." Sarah Chen couldn't believe it. Earth was 47 light-years away. How had help arrived so quickly? But she could hear the battle raging outside the command center. Someone was fighting the Purists, and winning. The plasma cutting on the main door suddenly stopped. The Purist soldiers who had been trying to break in were running away, shouting in fear. Through the walls, Sarah heard energy weapons and explosions as the attackers fled. 3 minutes later, a new sound came from the door. Someone was cutting through from the outside, but this cutting was precise and controlled. A human voice called out, "U.S. military inside! Move away from the door!" The door fell inward with a crash. Major Santos stepped through the opening like an angel of death. Her powered armor was scorched black from battle. Her face mask slid up, revealing determined brown eyes. "Commander Chen, I'm Major Santos, 42nd Orbital Drop Regiment. We're here to take you home." Sarah almost cried with relief. "How did you get here so fast?" "New technology," Santos replied simply. "Are all your people accounted for?" Dr. Harrison looked up from her computer. 12 humans present. The Veltharan diplomats requested protection as well. "We'll take them too," Santos decided. "Nobody gets left behind." While the rescue proceeded on the station, the space battle raged around them. The Purist fleet was being systematically destroyed by human tactics they couldn't understand or counter. Warcast Zethkalar watched in horror as his ships exploded one by one. The human vessels moved in ways that broke all military logic. They worked together like parts of a single mind, supporting each other perfectly while striking from multiple directions. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "Their ships appear from nowhere. Our sensors cannot track them." His tactical officer was pale with fear. "Warcast, they are using some kind of short-range teleportation technology. Our battle computers cannot predict their movements." Captain Morrison was using micro-jumps, tiny quantum tunnel movements that let his ships appear anywhere within a few thousand kilometers instantly. The Valtheran sensors weren't fast enough to track these rapid relocations. "Target their weapon systems," Morrison ordered. "I want them disabled, not destroyed. We need some of them alive for questioning." The human attack was perfectly coordinated. While the Retribution kept the main fleet busy, the Shadow's Edge eliminated key targets from stealth. The Valkyrie's descent deployed additional troops to capture important enemy ships. Aboard the Purist vessels, Hell's Angels soldiers fought through the corridors with terrifying efficiency. The Valtheran warriors had never faced anything like human combat tactics. Their enemies seemed to be everywhere at once, striking from unexpected angles, using three-dimensional movement that confused defenders trained for traditional warfare. Corporal Jackson kicked down a door and found 3 Valtheran soldiers hiding behind energy shields. Instead of attacking the shields directly, he bounced grenades off the ceiling behind them. The explosions knocked out the Valtharans without killing them. "Prisoners secured," Jackson reported. "These guys fight like they're in a parade. No imagination at all." The battle was over in less than 4 hours. Every Purist ship was either destroyed or captured. Not a single human had been killed, though several were wounded. The Valtharan survivors sat in their damaged ships, staring in shock at the humans who had defeated them so easily. Major Santos escorted Commander Chen and her team to the rescue shuttle. The diplomatic team looked tired but grateful. Dr. Harrison carried her research data, still working even after 3 days of hell. "Major, how many ships did Earth send?" Chen asked. 3, Santos replied. Chen stopped walking. 3 ships defeated that entire fleet? "Yes, ma'am. The galaxy is about to learn something new about human military capability." As they boarded the shuttle, Sarah looked back at Kepler Station. It was damaged, but still functional. The Purist attack had failed completely. More important, humanity had just announced itself as a major military power in a very dramatic way. Ambassador Keth sat quietly in the shuttle, his crystal skin pale with shock. He had watched the human military in action for the first time. Everything he thought he knew about this young species was wrong. Warcast Zeth Kalar was brought aboard the UES Retribution as a prisoner. He sat in the detention cell, staring at the walls. His entire battle fleet had been destroyed in hours by 3 human ships. His warriors, trained for centuries, had been defeated by soldiers who moved like ghosts and fought like demons. Captain Morrison visited him once. The human officer looked calm and professional, not like a conqueror gloating over victory. "Why?" Zeth Kalar asked in broken English. "How did you become so powerful so quickly?" Morrison thought about the question seriously. "We adapt. We innovate. We never give up. And when someone threatens our people, distance doesn't matter. Numbers don't matter. We will find you, and we will stop you." The Warcast looked confused. "But your species is so young. How do you have technology we have never seen?" "Because we don't think like you do," Morrison explained. "You follow tradition. We create new possibilities. You fight the way your ancestors fought. We fight the way the situation demands." As the human fleet prepared to leave, quantum tunnel drives charging for the journey home, other species across the galaxy received the first reports of the battle. The young race from Earth had just defeated one of the Valtharan military's elite forces without breaking a sweat. The galaxy was about to discover that cornering humans wasn't a successful tactic. It was a fatal mistake. The journey home took 12 hours. Commander Chen sat in the medical bay of the UES Retribution, getting treatment for cuts and bruises from the 3-day siege. She couldn't stop thinking about what she had witnessed. Dr. Harrison worked at a computer terminal nearby, analyzing the battle recordings. "Commander, do you realize what just happened? Earth sent 3 ships across 47 light-years in less than 5 hours. That should be impossible." "But it happened," Chen replied. "The question is, what happens next?" Captain Morrison had the same question. He stood in his private office reading reports from across the galaxy. The news of the Kepler station battle was spreading faster than any human ship could travel. Every species with communication networks was talking about it. His communication officer knocked on the door. "Sir, we're receiving messages from Earth Command, the Valtharan government, and 17 other alien civilizations. They all want to know the same thing. Which is, how did we get so powerful so fast? And what are we planning to do with our new capabilities?" Morrison smiled grimly. Those were good questions. Earth had kept its advanced technology secret for good reason. Now the secret was out, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Valtharan Confederacy's High Council met in emergency session as soon as they received word of the battle. The council chamber was filled with angry and frightened voices. High Counselor Vethmore called for order with his ceremonial staff. "The humans have revealed military technology far beyond our estimates," he announced. "Warcast Zethkalar's entire fleet was destroyed or captured in 4 hours. How is this possible?" Intelligence Director Kondal stood to address the council. "Our analysis suggests the humans have developed faster-than-light travel that doesn't require jump gates or preset navigation routes. They can appear anywhere, anytime. This changes everything." "What do you mean?" demanded Counselor Yethkala. "It means humanity can strike any target in the galaxy within hours. No defense is possible against an enemy that can appear from nowhere. If they wanted to attack our home worlds, we couldn't stop them." The council chamber fell silent. For the first time in centuries, the proud Valtharan Confederacy felt afraid of a younger species. High Counselor Vethmore made a decision that would reshape galactic politics. "Send a message to Earth. We wish to negotiate a new treaty immediately. Whatever trade terms they want, we will consider seriously." On Earth, Admiral Morrison read the Valtharan message with satisfaction. Her son's mission had succeeded beyond all expectations. Not only were the diplomatic team safe, but humanity had just gained enormous respect from one of the galaxy's major powers. "Admiral, we're also receiving messages from the Corvan Empire, the Stellar Republic, and the Independent Worlds Alliance," her aide reported. "They all want to establish diplomatic relations with Earth." Admiral Morrison leaned back in her chair. 6 months ago, most alien civilizations had barely acknowledged humanity's existence. Now they were lining up to make friends. Fear was a powerful motivator. Commander Chen recovered from her injuries and returned to diplomatic duty. But her new assignment was very different from her original mission. Instead of begging for trade agreements, she found herself negotiating from a position of strength. Ambassador Keth met with her again, but the crystal-skinned alien's attitude had completely changed. He was polite, respectful, even slightly nervous. The proud, superior being was gone, replaced by someone who understood he was dealing with a dangerous species. "Commander Chen, on behalf of the Valtharan Confederacy, I wish to apologize for the Purist Clade's actions. We are prepared to offer significant trade concessions as compensation." Chen reviewed the proposed treaty terms. They were far better than anything she had dared hope for during the original negotiations. "These terms are acceptable, Ambassador, but I have one additional requirement." "Anything, Commander." "The Purist Clade attempted to execute my team as propaganda. I want assurance that their surviving members will face justice under Valtharan law." Keth's crystal skin turned darker blue, a sign of shame in his culture. "Warcast Zethkalar and his surviving officers will be tried for treason and murder. The Purist Clade will be declared a criminal organization. This I promise." Dr. Harrison published her research on Valtharan military tactics, which became required reading at Earth's military academies. Her analysis showed how rigid thinking could be defeated by adaptive strategy even when facing superior numbers. Major Santos and her Hell's Angels became legends throughout the military. Their perfect execution of the Kepler station rescue proved that human soldiers could operate effectively anywhere in the galaxy. Recruitment for Earth's special forces increased dramatically as young people wanted to join humanity's elite warriors. But the most important changes were happening across the galaxy. Species that had ignored or dismissed humanity were suddenly very interested in making friends. Trade requests poured in from civilizations that had never bothered to respond to Earth's previous communications. Captain Morrison received new orders from Earth Command. Task Force Prometheus would become the core of humanity's rapid response fleet. Their mission was to protect human interests anywhere in the galaxy and to respond to threats against human civilians with overwhelming force. The quantum tunnel drive technology remained classified, but its existence was now public knowledge. No hostile species could assume they were safe from human retaliation simply because of distance. Warcast Zeth Kalar spent his time in prison thinking about the battle. He had been a proud warrior, trained in ancient traditions of honor and courage, but the humans had shown him that tradition meant nothing against innovation. Their young species had surpassed his ancient civilization in the time it took his people to debate minor policy changes. During his trial, he was asked why he had attacked the human diplomatic mission. "I believed they were weak," he answered honestly. "I thought killing them would prove that young species should not be considered equal to the old powers of the galaxy." "And now?" asked the judge. Zeth Kalar looked down at his shackled hands. "Now I understand that age means nothing. Power comes from the ability to grow and change. Humans are strong because they refuse to be limited by what others think is possible." The judge sentenced him to life imprisonment. As guards led him away, Zeth Kalar had one final thought. Humanity had not just defeated his fleet. They had proven that the galaxy belonged to whoever was bold enough to claim it. 6 months after the Battle of Kepler Station, Commander Chen stood once again at a space station window, watching ships move through the darkness. But this time, half the ships were human vessels. Earth had established permanent bases in 12 star systems and signed military cooperation agreements with 6 alien civilizations. The galaxy's power balance had shifted permanently. Humanity was no longer a minor species begging for recognition. They were a major force that others approached with respect and caution. Dr. Harrison joined Chen at the window. "Do you think we're moving too fast? Some people back on Earth worry we're becoming too aggressive." Chen thought about the 3 days she had spent trapped and waiting to die while alien extremists prepared to execute her team. She remembered the sound of her Marines fighting with limited ammunition against overwhelming odds. She recalled the relief she felt when Major Santos and her Hell's Angels came through that door. "No," she said finally. "The galaxy is a dangerous place. Our people need to know that if they're in trouble, help will come. It doesn't matter how far away they are or how many enemies surround them. Earth will send its attack units, and they will bring everyone home." As if summoned by her words, 3 familiar shapes appeared near the station. Task Force Prometheus had returned from another mission, their quantum tunnel drives allowing them to protect human interests across impossible distances. Captain Morrison's voice came over the communication system. "Kepler Station, this is Task Force Prometheus requesting permission to dock. We have diplomatic personnel returning from the Stellar Republic negotiations." "Permission granted, Captain," Chen replied. "Welcome home." The message was simple, but it carried a deeper meaning that echoed across the galaxy. Humanity had learned the most important lesson of interstellar politics. Respect comes not from age or tradition, but from the willingness and ability to protect what matters to you. Any species that threatened human civilians would discover the same truth the purest clade had learned at Kepler Station. Distance was no protection, numbers were no advantage. When humans were cornered, Earth's attack units would descend, and the galaxy would remember why you never corner a species that refuses to give up.